So Ripple and the SEC are going back and forth, and there's a big phone call on Tuesday the 31st. It doesn't exactly look like it's going to end the case anytime soon, whether it be a settlement or a trial. But if you've been following the settlement predictions, I have something else to discuss. And whether it's right or wrong, it's actually doing something else for the XRP community that months ago, many of us would never expect. Also, Fidelity Investments just released their outlook on crypto and Bitcoin. And if you're not following the investment markets or what some of these extremely large investment houses are doing, Fidelity is one of the most bullish companies when talking about Bitcoin and the future of crypto. I'm going to talk about what they just released and what charts they looked at in their analysis, because it looks like they're subscribing to one particular model. I'm going to tell you what that model is and what it looks like Fidelity thinks the price of Bitcoin is going to be doing in the near and long-term future. And our favorite organization, the SEC, recently just hired a company to look into DeFi. It's going to help them investigate the DeFi market. So I'm going to tell you who they hired, how much they're paying them, and what they're actually going to look at, because it's something to keep an eye on. Hey everyone, my name is Randy and welcome back to the Late Night Grind. And right now on this channel, I am covering the Ripple versus SEC case, as well as other cryptocurrency news, investment markets, personal finance. So if any of those topics interest you, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit that bell notification icon. That way YouTube will send you a notification when I release a new video. And of course, I do that when there is some new information. There is no shortage of new information. And I believe people in the crypto space are some of the most generous people on the planet. So if you are feeling generous today, go ahead and give this video a big thumbs up. It's one of the best things you can do for the YouTube algorithm. The other thing is watching the video all the way through. It's one of the best things you can do to support a channel. So if you do that, I greatly appreciate it. All right, guys, so let's jump into it. And so Fidelity is going full force into Bitcoin and crypto. In fact, in their latest analysis, they actually stated that 90% of their largest clients have asked about Bitcoin. So if that's not one of the key indicators that you might want to follow their lead, or at least take a very close look at what they're actually doing with their money, listen to that. So they published a whole bunch of charts with their findings and what they're digging into. So here's just some of the charts that they published. Money and the Fed, global debt, gold as a monetary inflation hedge, risk versus return, SPX drawdowns versus Bitcoin drawdowns, Bitcoin 60-40 chart, real exchange rates, purchasing power, Bitcoin supply and demand models, crypto market caps, hash rates, energy consumption, networks, the Bitcoin network, and Bitcoin tourists versus Bitcoin hodlers. They used all those charts and all that analysis, and they did one thing that I didn't really expect. What they published in their findings and what their model shows is that they believe Bitcoin could be worth over $1 million by 2026. What model does that follow? That follows the stock to flow model. Now, Plan B on Twitter, if you're not following him, you need to go follow him. If not, just keep an eye on what the rest of the crypto market and Bitcoin specifically is potentially doing. But he came up with applying the stock to flow model to Bitcoin, which basically is a supply and demand chart. And if you look at it, it shows that Bitcoin should be well above 100,000 by the end of this year before the pullback. It also shows that in future years, after future halvings, Bitcoin could be worth well over $1 million, and in the long term down the run, even more than that. But I'm not going to get into those numbers right now. And Jurian Timmer, who is Fidelity's director of global macro, he actually called, very closely at least, when the Bitcoin bottom was going to be in these last couple of months. He actually called it about 2 weeks before the actual bottom was in, but of course it's been on an upward trend ever since. That was when that low of Bitcoin hit 28,800. It was at 29,900 when he made that call, so he was pretty darn close. Okay, so now let's talk about the SEC, and then we'll talk about Ripple and XRP. So the SEC, it just came out today that the SEC signed a deal with an analytics firm to, get this, investigate the DeFi market. You saw that coming with Gary Gensler's recent comments about him wanting to investigate the DeFi markets. You knew something like this was coming. Now, upon further review, it's kind of interesting because I read the article and it looks like they signed a deal with a company called Chain. They signed a 5-year, $625,000 deal. Now, $625,000 sounds like a lot, but it's only $125,000 per year. Now, in the crypto space and the governance space, that doesn't sound like a whole lot because lawyers alone are paid far more than that. So if you look at Chain, it's actually Victor Fang, who is the CEO, was making some comments about this new partnership. And this is the interesting thing. It's probably just going to be one guy and a software doing some analytical digging into the DeFi markets, which if you look at it on its basis doesn't look like it can do a whole lot. But here is Victor's actual comment. He said, "We are providing the SEC with technology to analyze and trace smart contracts." This is definitely something to keep an eye on. And so that brings us to the case of Ripple versus the SEC and what's actually happening. Now, if you watched a couple of my more recent videos, I talk about the settlement being predicted, that some people were predicting that there's a settlement going to be mid-September. And then there was an extension filed by both parties because they want to depose Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson. Hasn't actually been discussed which side is actually going to depose them. But in any case, they wanted the fact discovery time extended, not the official fact discovery time, but the allowance of time for these depositions to actually take place. Well, I'm going to talk about BitBoy Crypto for a minute, and I know he's kind of polarizing, especially in the crypto space, especially in regards to XRP. But the really interesting thing that he was talking about was he of course made the prediction that mid-September settlement's coming. I have inside sources. And then they discuss, and literally the next day, these two parties, the SEC and Ripple, filed for an extension to do more depositions, which would take longer than mid-September. So that kind of put a squash to that, and I talk about that in my last video. So BitBoy just came out earlier, a little bit after that, and he was on a conference. He was on a conference call, a conference Zoom meeting, which of course you can go look up on YouTube. And he was discussing different things, saying that, listen, it's probably going to be delayed by a couple of weeks, by 2-3 weeks, but settlement is still being discussed. It's still in the works, and it's going to be happening by the end of September, maybe beginning of October. I don't know if I can still get on board with that time frame. I don't even know if I can get on board with the settlement's coming talk. Because the way I see this is that, yes, the SEC is just absolutely getting smacked around by Ripple's attorneys and by Judge Netburn, but I still don't see the SEC handing this over with just a slap on the wrist. So you're going to have to follow this channel to actually figure out what happens. But here's the thing. A couple of months ago, 3, 4, 5 months ago, you would have never heard this from A, BitBoy Crypto, and B, from some of these videos of Bitcoin, they call them Bitcoin maxis, talking about Bitcoin and how they just hate XRP and they slam XRP, they slam Ripple, how Ripple actually controls XRP and how they sell it and dump on the market to keep the price artificially low and all this stuff, which isn't really true if you actually look at the details of it. And here's the thing, BitBoy Crypto jumps in and says, no. This is how it's actually working. This is what's actually going on. And while some of his information isn't 100% correct, especially if you follow the details within the XRP and Ripple community, he is absolutely bringing this discussion and shocking some of these Bitcoin maximalists and these other crypto maximalists that don't believe in XRP. He's actually bringing this discussion to the foresight. He's bringing the case to the foresight, which brings even more eyes to this case of the SEC versus Ripple. So what he's doing is actually a big benefit, not only to Ripple and not only to those in the crypto space that are kind of against the SEC and all the regulation they want to bring, but potentially a price jump in XRP. Why? Because the more eyeballs that are going to be on XRP, as soon as they come out of this SEC case with a win, and I believe that they will, the more people that are keeping an eye on this, it's like a rubber band effect. When this case is over, that rubber band's going to go high very quickly. And just some parting news for the rest of the crypto market. It looks like Solana, once again, is one of the cryptos, one of the altcoins leading the charge back up, as Bitcoin has been retracing down from 46 the other day, back up. It is back up above 48,000 now. Cardano is absolutely leading the pack once again, but Solana is not far behind. But here's the thing with Solana that I wanted to take a look at, and I want you guys to take a look at. Whenever Bitcoin and the rest of this crypto market takes a bigger dip, Solana really doesn't. It trades sideways and it might dip a little bit, but not near to the extent that the rest of the crypto market does. And now that Bitcoin is kind of retracing back to higher levels, Solana is actually one of the ones leading that charge, like I said, along with Cardano right now. So if you're holders of Cardano and Solana, which I am, of course I wish I had more, then you'll absolutely want to keep an eye on that. I'm going to be doing some more reports on that. Also, VeChain is another one that I'm keeping an eye on because there was a big announcement that just was made yesterday that I'm going to announce in a upcoming video. So let me know in the comments section below which of those coins, which of those projects you're actually following, what your thoughts are for the rest of this crypto space, and if you think a settlement's coming for this Ripple versus the SEC. So once again, thanks for watching all the way to the end. And if you're seeing 2 videos put right here, it means YouTube thinks that one of these 2 videos would be right up your alley. So go ahead and click on one of those and watch it. So please give this video a big thumbs up, and I'll see you guys on the next video.